Hello, good afternoon. We'll still wait for others to join. Okay, we can begin. Others may join when they are able to join. Okay, in the last session, I think we have seen throws and throw keyword, right? Anybody having any questions in try, catch, finally, throw and throws? Any questions that you have, you can ask right now. In these 5 keywords that we have seen, and with the help of these 5 keywords only, we are able to handle the exception. Okay, good.
Ma'am, once the difference between throw and throws.
Yes. Okay. So the first thing is throw is used for explicitly throwing the exception. Whenever you can, add conditions like if we are going to see today also throw and throws in example. We are going to use all 5 keywords in today's custom exception example. We can use throw when you want to explicitly put a condition that if, say, for example, in today's example, I'm going to show the same thing. Whenever if you want to find the area of circle, and if the radius input by user is negative, then you cannot find the area. In that case, you can throw a particular exception. but there is no such inbuilt exception that can, you know, handle this invalid radius or illegal radius or incorrect radius kind of exception. So we are going to make that exception. That is custom exception, but throw is actually used for explicitly or manually. You want to throw the error to that particular handler. You don't want to pass it to, you don't want to pass it to your catch block. But however, you can obviously use try and catch to catch that exception. To throw a particular exception at a particular place, according to your logic, if you feel that the values entered by user are incorrect, then you can throw your exception. That is the use of a throw. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And throws, actually, it is used for declaring that a method is capable of throwing the exception. The method may or may not throw the exception. Based on the input, the method may throw the exception, like the file reader example, right? In the file reader example, you are reading out a file. It may happen that the file doesn't exist. Then you need to inform the caller that the exception might occur. So you are informing the caller. The caller is usually always our void main, because void main is calling all the functions, right? So in that function signature on the header, you are specifying the exception classes that this function can throw, which is capable of throwing. Those classes you are listing out comma separated, like, in the last session also we have seen that. Yes, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Uh, in the last session also we have seen, no, that if input is the function and this input function is inputting or maybe reading or inputting the data from a file, so you are, extending, you are using a file reader over here, then this may throw the exception. So whenever you are pointing to this file, the file may or may not exist. So I'm putting inside the bracket the name of the file. We don't know whether it is existing or not. So we can inform the caller that this method is capable of throws what kind of exception? File not found exception. Okay, then you can even mention, say for example, some arithmetic exception is occurring, no, in the bracket in this body. You can even throw check then and check, the both can be thrown. Arithmetic exception, maybe, some null pointer exception, right? It is capable of throwing. You are informing the caller. Who is the caller? Who will call this function? Your PSVM is going to call, no. So you are informing the caller that some exception might be there in this function's body, and if you want to handle it, then you can, give it try and catch over here. If you want to handle this exception, you can call this function inside this ex, what is, okay, yes, exception. Yes, you are handling it like this, right? Then you can call this function ob.input. You are informing the caller that you may want to handle using try and catch because it is going to throw some exception at some point of time in this body. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Anybody? So what differences you can give in the examination, from examination point of view? The first difference you can give is the syntax difference. Okay. Syntactically both are different. The syntax of throw you can give no throw. Then you are creating the object or instance of, the exception class. Right. And you are using throws in the method signature. And how do you give throws? By listing out exceptions here. Exception number 1, exception number 2, right? And so on and so forth, right? Then where do you use this? Where do you declare them? You usually declare the first one, the throw, in the method itself. Whenever a particular condition is arising, no, whenever you feel that radius is less than 0, no, you can throw your own exception. For a conditional statement, you can throw this, that this condition is arising, no, then I'm throwing, say for example, arithmetic exception. And it's totally dependent on you, how you are handling it. And how do you declare the another one? In the method signature. This one example, you are giving the example of this. Along with the method signature, that is the second point of difference. And third point is the actual implementation, the actual use of throw and throws. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Anybody having any question apart from this? Anybody having any question in try, catch, finally, throw and throws? One more thing I want to declare, I want to specify over here. Throws is not an exception handler. Okay. Even throw that you are using, it is throwing it to the JVM. It is throwing the exception object to the JVM, except explicitly or mentioning it. But throw and throws, more going into more detail, not from examination point of view, I'm telling you these things. From more specific point of view, I'm telling you this. Try and catch are the only, and finally, of course, the three keywords are the only keywords which are used for handling or managing the exceptions. But throws is used for suppressing the exception. You are informing the caller that something might happen, but you are not handling it with throws and throw. You make sure this thing is very clear in your mind. You are not handling the exception. You are not handling the program execution gracefully by using these two keywords. Although they are mentioned under the category of exception handling only in your books and everywhere, but still, if you think in detail, they are not used for handling the exception. They are used for suppressing it. You are informing the caller that some problem might occur. The caller is handling it. Who is handling it? The caller. Again, with which keywords using try, catch, and finally. I'm going it in one step ahead of this. Are you getting this thing clear? These two keywords, throw and throws, they are not used for handling the exception, but they are used for informing that some exception might occur if the radius is, say, for example, negative. Or if you are throwing the exception to the JVM, JVM is handling it abruptly, but they are not handling the exceptions. Okay. I'm going in one step detail in that. If you think, even you will be able to get the same thing, right? Okay. If nobody is having any doubt, no, then we can move on to custom exceptions. Nobody is having doubt, right? In throw, try, throws, and try, catch, and finally. Okay, fine. Then I want to, we can take the same example of circle itself. Yeah, it is a better way to understand. I am going to explain you how to create your own or user-defined exceptions, or another word for that is the custom exception. Okay. If you wish to create your own exceptions, and why do we wish to create our own exception? What is the need of creating our own exception is because all the exception classes that are given to you that are not sufficient from the application point of view, implementation point of view. Your program may want to handle the exception in its own way, but all the listed out classes, all the built-in exceptions, like array index out of bound, string index out of bound, then you have null pointer, right? Then you have a number format exception, then your file not found exception. Okay, all these exceptions are capable of handling the static. They have given a few set of static exceptions that can handle few set of instructions, but not all of them. So at some point you will feel the limitation of it because you want to handle it in a different way. Like for example, I'm giving you the example of simple example, radius example. Whenever you are inputting the radius from user and you want to calculate the area or perimeter, it is not possible that it is less than 0. Okay, then there is no such exception for us made says invalid radius exception. It is not there. You want to create it, then you can create it. Okay, so today we are going to create our own customized exception, or we can say user-defined exception. Now, if you remember, I have told you that all the exception classes are the subclasses of superclass exception. Okay, and if you remember the hierarchy correctly, exception handling hierarchy, if you remember it, then your throwable, what can be thrown from the program? It can be error or it can be exception. And in error, I have shown you two examples, out of memory error and stack overflow error. In exceptions, we have seen this since these are we are seeing exceptions only. Negative array size, null pointer, string index, array index, number format, file not found. Okay, these all are inbuilt exceptions. Okay, if you want to create your own exception, as I've mentioned before also, all the classes are in a subclass, superclass relationship with the exception class. Okay, every class that is listed over here is taking the superclass as exception, because exception class is having the properties for printing the message correctly or maybe handling it in a proper way. It knows try and catch and throws and throw keyword. Okay, so it is always subclassing it with the superclass exception. If you want to create your own exception, again, what should be the first step? Now you can tell me. Can you tell me? If I want to create my own class of exception, such as invalid or whatever name you want to mention, it is okay. Invalid radius exception. what is the first step that I do? Can you tell me?
We have to extend the exception class.
Yes, you are right. We have to make this as a subclass of our superclass exception. Okay. And as exception is in the lang package, no, we don't need to import here. Lang it is a by default imported package. We don't need to worry about it. As soon as you extend this exception, this class now can create methods which are used for exception handling. Okay. Initially, what I want to do here, I want to simply create one method. Okay. As now, again, see one more thing I want to tell you here. I am keeping the class public. Why I am keeping it public? Because I am going to create a library class which will be accessible, not for how I am accessing it, but if you can understand it easily, you can access this class across all the packages that you have created. Okay. So we may create, yes, we'll do it. We have two packages over here. No, we'll create one another class in another package and I'll show it to you. If it is non-public, then it cannot be accessible. So I want this to be a library class, and all the predefined classes, it's a library classes, they all have public keyword. Even exception class is publicly created. You already know all the classes in the Java library, they are all public. So I'm currently renaming the file. Okay, and because as the public file is the same name as the class, I'm renaming the file as this radius. Okay, invalid radius exception, and I'm creating a public class. Now I'm also creating public method because I want this method to be accessible across the packages. I'm creating a public method that is simply printing some error. Okay, so some print message or something. This method is what it is doing. It is going to print the message that the radius value is incorrect. And if I want to add this radius value here, no, I can create a variable here. I can create a, I can even keep it public, even keep it totally your choice. I'm creating, a variable radius here. Okay. And I'm also creating the constructor of this invalid radius exception, okay, which is going to initialize this radius. Okay, I'm creating a constructor which is going to initialize this radius with r radius equals to radius. Okay, I'm also keeping the constructor as public because I want to create the object in another class. So I'm calling this constructor when I create the object. So I'm also keeping it as public. Okay, I'm keeping everything public because I want this class to be accessible from everywhere and anywhere. So this class is having simply only this much thing this class is having. It is having one constructor which is initializing the radius, and if this radius is now the condition where you want to put, if the radius value is negative or something, you want to call this function. No, that implementation you will do in which class? In your implementation class, where you want to implement this. No, wherever you want to call this, no, in that class you are going to implement this. Now I'm creating a fresh class here. I'm creating a fresh class here. I'm naming it as, say, for example, circle itself. Okay, I'm naming it as circle. In this class circle, I'm going to create what? First of all, I'm going to create the constructor for initializing the radius. Okay, so I'm creating a radius variable here. Okay, and I'm creating the constructor also. Okay, for this is default. Okay, fine. I want to be parameterized also. Okay, fine. It is automatically getting parameterized for us. Now, in this constructor itself, I am throwing this radius. Now, if you remember, I have told you, you can see any scope can throw exception. Scope meaning what? It could be a method, it could be a constructor, or it could be a static block also. That I'm going to, give you as an example that you have to perform. I'm going to give you an exercise over there. How static block can also throw exception. That also it is possible. Okay, but later on that part. But any block which is throwing the exception, no, you can always mention in this block syntax here itself that it is throwing the exception. We have seen the example of throws in simple method. Okay, we haven't seen the example of throws in constructor. So in constructor only this time I'm implementing the throws with exception. I want this to throw our invalid radius exception. Now what should happen? As soon as this radius value is being taken from the user, or as soon as it is passed over here, what do you want to do? If this radius that it is being passed, if it is less than 0, then you want to throw, what do you want to throw? I want to throw invalid radius exception. Okay, I want to throw invalid radius exception. I am creating the object of invalid radius exception and I am passing the radius here. Because it is taking the object as some double parameter. No, see, it is taking double radius as the parameter. No, henceforth I am creating this object and I am passing the radius over here. If the value is less than 0, then this should happen. Else, the initialization should continue as it is. Are you getting this much what I have done so far? Yes, are you getting this much what I have done so far? Shall I repeat it?
But why aren't we giving a condition of negative radius in the invalid radius exception class?
There also you can give if you want, it is okay. Even here also you want to give, that is also okay. That is totally your choice. How do you want to handle it? I can create this message. I can pass here double radius directly here itself. And I can make this method also check. If it is less than 0, no, then you want to, throw this or you want to print this message. That is also okay. The reason I'm keeping it independent is the radius value, I'm just assuming it. Okay, just think about this. The radius constraint is different for different applications. I'm telling you like that. You are making the exception class independent of the specific constraint. Getting it? You want to throw it whenever something is occurring. That's something that you are keeping in mind. No, you are changing it. For say, for example, for some of the applications, you want to keep like that. If the radius value is less than 10, then the value is incorrect. Depending on the if conditions, your application is varying. Otherwise, you can be more specific also here. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Okay. Now I'm just creating, this is simple, a generic form, generic structure. It is not very specific. Okay. What I'm doing is whenever exception is occurring, no, I'm simply printing the message. But now what exception you want to handle or what conditions you want to keep, maybe less than 0, maybe another example, you want it to be greater than 100. It is totally your choice how you want to handle it. At that time, you want to simply throw this object and you want to call this method that print message the value of radius is incorrect. That is all this function is doing. Got it? Okay, now here already we are creating the object. Okay, that is correct. And you can even, have your own function for, get area. You can create your own function for, calculating the area. That is okay. Now what I am doing is in my, in my tester class, okay, in my main class where I am creating the object of class circle, I am removing public from here because I am going to create main class as a different class. Okay. I'm going to create a driver class here or the handler class, which is going to say, for example, circle itself. I am naming this as circle 1. It is not the main class. It is just a class whose functions I'm creating and I'm going to access it here inside the public static void main. Okay. Now I'm creating the object of circle class. Now you see, as soon as I create the object, no, it is throwing the invalid radius exception. So you may want to keep a mechanism that is catching this, okay? Because when are you entering the radius? Here itself in the constructor's body. Whenever you are creating the object, you are going to enter the negative value. So I am creating the object of my class circle as OB1 and I am passing here negative 10. Now I have informed it here itself. See, it is telling me here itself, invalid radius exception is not being caught. It is not, it should be catched. Are you catching it? No. Why it is showing me this error? Because I've mentioned here that this, when you're creating the object using the parameterized constructor, this constructor or this scope is capable of throwing invalid radius exception. You are informing the caller. Who is the caller? PSUM. You're informing the caller that some exception might occur in the body of this constructor. Then are you handling it? No. Then handle it. No. I'm informing you that this may occur. This exception may occur. Are you handling it? No. Then handle it. How shall I handle it? Okay. I'm going to surround my complete creation of object using try and catch blocks. That is how I'm handling. Am I getting the correct solution? Yes. Okay. It is handling properly. Now I'm calling here invalid exception, radius exception. I'm creating the OB. And as this OB is the object of, not OB, let me call it O1 because OB is already here. This O1 who is the object of invalid radius exception. No, I can call the message. Which message should I call here? O1 dot, so it is asking you to print message. Are you getting it? Print message was the function that we created in the invalid radius exception class, and as soon as I create the object, no, I can call this function. Somebody is asking something. Wait, I have to check it. Okay, fine. Okay, now anybody is having any question what I have done so far? I am going to repeat the steps again. It is new for you. I am repeating it again. I am creating a class invalid radius exception, which is simply telling me that radius is invalid. Now, what is the invalid value for you for radius? It depends on the application. You may want to tell that, okay, radius is, if it is, from 0 to 10, it is okay for me. But if radius is exceeding 10, it is a problem for me. Then, according to your if conditions only, you may want to throw the exception. This is a generalized format. What I'm doing here, I'm simply creating one parameterized constructor and one function that is printing that this radius value is invalid. Okay. And the first step we did was extending it with exception class. Now, as my library class is ready, now I can use this in my class. Okay, so I'm creating a class circle. In this class circle, you can even do this for a function also. You can create a function validate that is simply validating the value of radius. As we have seen the void input method in the previous example, throwing the exception, I am explaining you another example showing that even constructors can throw exception. Not only methods. Anything that has a scope, has a body, can throw exception, provided it must have a signature. Signature meaning it must have signature meaning it should have a return type or the name of the class or something inside it. Okay. So I'm telling the compiler that as soon as I'm passing radius over here, no, this body or this scope may throw so and so exception. You are asking that it may throw, but when do you want to throw? I want to throw the exception when the radius's value is negative. Otherwise, this class is radius. No, it should get initialized with this radius, and then the area should be easily printed. What is the area? 2 pi r, whatever is the area. No, I am printing the area over here very easily. Okay. Okay. I'm printing the area very easily over here, right? And I can do this in a function also. I can do this in a constructor also. But now this condition that you are doing, no, it is independent of this exception class. I am making both of them independent. You may want to throw the exception when the radius value is, I don't know, say for example, greater than, totally depend on you, 1000. Then you want to throw this. Or maybe the radius's value is in a range from 10 to 50 only. My program is working. Otherwise, throw the exception. So I'm making this formula independent of this exception. However, if you want, you can also do the same thing. If radius is less than 0, no, then only do this. That also you can do. That is totally your choice. If you want to be more specific, again, okay. If you don't want to be, again, okay. That is totally your choice. Any which way, you are throwing the exception. So the control is going to be in that class only whenever you are throwing this exception, okay? And you don't want the JVM to handle it. That is the reason you are surrounding this by try and catch that if the control is transferred to JVM, if the handlation is done by JVM, no, then the program will terminate abnormally, and whatever is the area, no, it will never be counted. That area function will never be called because JVM is handling it. No. I want to throw the exception, but at the same time, I am catching it on my own, and I want the program to not terminate abnormally. So I'm surrounding this exception, whatever is the code that is throwing exception. No, I'm surrounding that code with try and catch. Now, while you're getting the use of all 5 keywords and where do we use throws, and you will also have this in mind. If you see this example, no, this will also click in your mind that throw and throws both. Throws is okay. You can use it for checked and unchecked both. But whenever you want to be more specific, no, at this point only the exception should be thrown. That kind of scenario is more feasible when you are creating your own exceptions, because you are customizing your program. No, it will also click in your mind that, okay, this throw is very much useful when you are throwing your own user-defined exceptions. It can be used for inbuilt also, but you can also use it in more ideal situation is used for, inbuilt custom exceptions. Yes, are you getting this, what I'm explaining you here?
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody having any questions so far? I didn't run the program actually. Let us run and check here. I'm mentioning that radius value is less than 0. Okay. As soon as I'm, so what is the sequence of execution? See the sequence of execution. As soon as I'm creating the object, no, the control is passed to the constructor. It goes here in the constructor. It is passing negative 10 over here. It is checking. Is it less than 10? Oh, yes, it is. Then throw the control to the invalid radius exception class. Until and unless this throw keyword is not used, no. This object is not created. No. Okay, this is again the creation of objects. Before I'm telling you one more thing, I'm telling you another thing that this is nothing but the object. Okay. Radius exception, you can create OB, new, invalid. This we have seen in the last session also. I am creating the object and I am passing the OB here. Both are same. Huh? If you remember this, both are same. Right? And until and unless this object is not created, no, this class is not even touched, not even seen. Why? The execution of this class, the starting point of execution is this statement only when you are actually throwing the object to this class. Because here before, no, you are simply informing the method, the caller, that this may throw, but it may or may not throw. No, depending on the scenario, it may throw, it may not throw. If the radius value was positive, no, it would never go here. So this class is not yet even touched, not even, the control is not transferred to this constructor until and unless the object is not created. So this class has no status, no execution of this class is done till this point has been reached. Once the radius value is negative, no, you are creating the object. That is when the class is getting instantiated. That is when this 10 is going here and the radius value is negative 10. It is going at this point. Which point? This point. Okay. When you are throwing OB, the control is gone in this class. It is initializing everything it is doing. But again, you don't want the control to stay here. If the control stays in the class, no, the program terminates. The control is here. It is initializing the radius. What next I have to do? Nothing. If there is no catch statement, no. If there is no catch statement, no. The control is stuck here. That is the reason the program will terminate, because there is no way to bring the control back to your main program. That is the use of catch. As soon as the exception is occurring, no, you are not letting the program to throw the control here itself. No, you want the control of the program back to your program where you can finish up the rest of the statements. Now, are you getting this? Yes or no? Okay. What about others? Others are not answering. Only Vidhi is answering. What about others? Are you getting the concept or the, see, there is a great power in your hand. Custom exceptions are always, yes, good.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good. You all are awake, then I am happy. Okay, see, it is telling me that radius value is incorrect. Okay, it is showing me the incorrect value. And did I print the area? No. Yes, one more thing. As soon as this is done, no, this is executed, no, the control is transferred over here. So there is no point in executing this statement, right? If you remember the same thing we have seen before also, you can, the rest of the statements of the try block will be skipped once the exception is in the catch block. So maybe you want to keep this statement after this is done. Okay, we want to keep this statement after it is done. Before that, there is no point in doing it. Got it? Or you, if it is showing error, no, then you can definitely create it like this, no. Create it before itself, and then, you know, OB equals to, right? In whichever way you want, you can do this. Got it? Is equal to null. I am initializing it with null, and then yes, if it is throwing exception, the control is going here, and this statement get area will not be even touched. If you want to do it like that, again it is okay, but the statements after try will not be touched if exception is occurring. So if you want this to be independent, you can keep it in finally, or you can keep it outside the catch block. Anything is fine. Yes. Is anybody having any questions in the use of, see, in this example, we are using all the 5 keywords together. Anybody having any questions in what is throw, throws, try, catch, finally, and how to create your own exceptions by creating the exception subclass class using exception class? Anybody having any questions so far?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Then I would like you to practice this. I'm giving you one example. Everybody should try, because this example is not for exceptions. I'm not going to extend this in lab sessions. I'm going to finish today itself. Please try this question. Okay, I'll write it down here itself. I want to give you one question. It's a very simple question. Okay. Uh, okay. Well, let us do one thing. Okay. Yes, this can be done. Okay, this is easy for you. Yes, repeated value exception. You are going to create a class for repeated value exception. And what this class is doing, it is checking for same. Uh, okay, initially what you are doing, you are creating a class for inputting, strings from user. We are inputting strings from user. Okay, and if the strings are unique, no, if the names that user is entering, no, if they are unique, no, then and then only they are placed in the array. If these values are unique, no, the user that is entering this names, if this name is unique, no, then only it is going it, then only you are storing it in the array. Otherwise, it is not stored in the array. Meaning what you are doing, you are searching in the array. So when you are searching in the array, the first name is entered by user ABC. There is no such name. ABC is having this and it is entering in this array. Second name entered by user is DF. Okay, it is entering in the array. Again, if user is entering ABC, no, then you are throwing this repeated value exception. This class is going to check for the values which are already there in the array. If the values exist in the array, then you are throwing this exception, and then you are not adding it over here. You are removing it. You are not adding it in the final array. You are inputting names from user. If user is entering a repeated name, no, that has came before itself in the array, then you are throwing this repeated value exception. Are you getting the question? Yes, are you getting the question? What is the question here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please
Then
try.
other strings won't be printed, no? If
No, no,
one
no.
is thrown the exception.
Yes, yes. If it is exception, no, then no. After the exception is done, you call the method print for printing the array, and the array is going to have this element only when the unique element is there. Otherwise, the element is not added in the array. Right?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Please try this question. It's a good question. Anybody not getting the question, you can let me know. I'll help you out. Anybody facing any issue or something, and you're not understanding anything, just let me know. I will help you out. Okay. Yes, anybody facing any problems in creating the custom exception, you can share your screen. I will help you out. Yes, anybody done with this program? Or you are still doing? Yes, Harshvardhan, Girish, Bharti, Pala, Panjwani, Vidhi, Lidhi, are you all trying this program? Okay, fine. Okay, okay. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, fine, fine. You can use linear search for that. Okay. Yes, good Smriti. You can try linear searching it and keep a counter when you add the elements. So you can run your array, create an array size of 50 size or 100 size or something, and add the elements. Create a counter for how many elements are added. As soon as you add the element, just increment the counter. Check, and just when you're printing, no, just print till the counter. It is very easy. And check for the linear search should run from 0 to the counter that you are keeping up for that. Whenever the new element is added, no, you are creating a counter. No, this linear search algorithm should work from 0 to that counter C, and it should check for the element. That's all. If the element is there, you are throwing the exception that the element cannot be added. It is repeated. Yes. Okay. Meanwhile, I'll take the attendance also. Ayush,
Present, ma'am.
Rohan,
Present.
Vipin,
Present, ma'am.
Manav,
Yes, ma'am.
Anuj, Riddhi.
Present, ma'am.
Riddhi is there. Yashraj, Jash, Mansi, Nikita,
Present, ma'am.
Manthan,
Present, ma'am.
Smith Kumar, Devansh,
Present, ma'am.
Ala. Okay. Yashang,
Yes, ma'am.
Dipin,
Yes, ma'am.
Tushar,
Present.
Yash, Manyar,
Present, ma'am.
Parmar. Okay,
Present,
yes.
ma'am.
Rishabh, Ivanchi,
Present, ma'am.
Tanvi,
Present, ma'am.
Bhanushali,
Present, ma'am.
Harshvardhan, Vijayraj, Pradhanya,
Present, ma'am.
Bharti,
Present, ma'am.
Avinash,
Present, ma'am.
Limbani, Arjun,
Yes, ma'am.
Maharana, Tanmayraj,
Yes, ma'am.
Dignesh Prasad, Manjwani is there, Sushil Prasad, Dhruvi, Naitik, Dharmik, Mohammed, Krunal,
Present, ma'am.
Nidhi is there, Arpit,
Present, ma'am.
Meghna,
Yes, ma'am.
Yash,
Present.
Bhavdeep, Divya, Saifali,
Yes, ma'am.
Samir Alam.
Ma'am,
Yes,
Divya
ma'am.
present.
Yes. Divya is there. Okay. Isha,
Present, ma'am.
Vibhusha,
Present, ma'am.
Omparik, Aditya, Kriplani, Aditya Jain,
Present, ma'am.
Jay Dhakan, Priyank,
Present, ma'am.
Tushar,
Present, ma'am.
Nikita, Girish,
Present, ma'am.
Pathik. Enrollment number 62.
Ma'am, 71.
71. Pathik, you are there. 3 is present.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, 61, 59, 60, 63. Hima,
Present, madam.
yes. 65, 73, 13. Mohammed,
Yes, ma'am.
Darshan Raj.
Present, ma'am.
Yes,
Hello.
yes, yes. Jaideep, Smriti is present. Vaishali,
Present, ma'am.
Vasu,
Present, ma'am.
Kunal,
Present, ma'am.
Aliwat, yes, Vijayaraj, I have marked you present. Yogen, you also have marked you present. And Voldi, you also. Yes, you all can leave the session.